Welcome back to Blue Rising, the show where Birmingham City takes centre stage on the pitch, behind the scenes and everywhere in between. I'm Ellen Ellard.
Yeah, I'm Richie Driss, and tonight it's all about the transfer window, from tense negotiations to last-minute paperwork, and tonight we're going to be showing you how it all unfolded for the Blues.
Absolutely. We have got a packed lineup of guests and features, including Harlee Dean, Tommy Mooney, a behind-the-scenes look at transfer deadline day itself. I can't wait to share that one with you. Insightful analysis as well from the one and only Delaney, running us through all the ins and outs. So the first international break is behind us, which saw an incredible 9 Birmingham City players called up for national team duty, including Bright Asai Samuel and Pate Sung Ho.
A real sign of how far this squad has come, with international recognition right across the pitch.
And much closer to home, Coventry away is already a sellout, but not without controversy, with fans raising an eyebrow at ticket prices.
We're coming to town. Whatever the cost, you know the Blue Noses will be there in numbers, making themselves heard as always.
So now, deadline day is always a whirlwind, and no one feels it more than Club Secretary Zoe Jones. From the first phone calls in the morning to making sure that last bit of paperwork is signed at night, she is right in the heart of the drama. And amidst all the turmoil, Zoe gave us a rare glimpse behind the curtain, showing exactly what it takes to get those deals signed, sealed and delivered before the window slams shut.
It's not as simple as just one bit of paper being signed by all 3 parties. I'm Zoe Jones and Club Secretary here at Birmingham City. The main outputs of the Club Secretary is you're the first point of contact for the EFL, the FA, FIFA, national governing bodies, and we manage player eligibility, player registrations, contracts, transfers, basically. Anything football administration comes across the Club Secretary's desk. Coming out the back of a transfer window, there obviously is a buzz to getting a transfer over the line, but then also there's the stress and the panic and the anxiety that comes with that. So it's always good once you hit submit and then you get that approval through from the EFL that says, yep, ready to go. It was one of the busier ones that we've had, certainly kind of going towards the end of it. That's one of the things that I've done this morning, is had a look at our submission times. And basically in the last half an hour of the window being open, we had 4 submissions, 2 in and 2 out. So it was certainly a very busy day. We all had to come together. It's always the way. Deadline day, people like to save their activity till then, for whatever reason. You've had 3 months to do these transfers. I think we would all think in an ideal world you'd get them all done early doors, but there is always that. You're relying on other people as well to come in for your players. So you kind of are a little bit tied to others. But yeah, yesterday was certainly one of the more tighter to the deadlines that we've had over recent years. So it's nice to come in and hopefully watch them all be approved and ready to play. I will be notified from Craig in terms of, yeah, we're going with this player, can you get the offer in? So I will type the offer email out, send it to my counterpart at the other club. We will obviously then do the backward and forward discussion in terms of, generally it's at a point where Craig's taken it to his counterpart and we've got an offer on the table that we know is going to be agreed, but we'll just formalise it, put it in writing, send it over. Once those offers are approved, there's then obviously the paperwork that comes with that, and I think there's probably a lot more paperwork than anyone's ever going to realise. What might seem like a fairly simple domestic transfer, with that you will have a transfer agreement, a contract. Generally, they'll always have an agent that works with them, so we do rely on the agents to do that. We do have a translator in for the Japanese players, which was something that the manager was really keen on, again, just to help with that language barrier. Yeah, there's been a range of dramatic deadline day activity. From looking back over the years, I think the standout one before yesterday was Jefferson Montero. That was a really late sign-in. We all had a bit of a heart attack over that one. So that's one that stands out in my mind as being right to the wire. And then I think Jack Robinson just about got in as the 12th. That meant that we could do a quick submission Basically, you just need to submit one bit of paperwork that's signed by all three parties, so us, the player, and Sheffield United, and then that bought us a little bit of extra time to submit the final bit of paperwork. So I think that went in at 7 to get everything submitted. So if we hadn't have done that quick submission, that signing wouldn't have gone through. So we did well to get there. Probably one of the biggest changes post-COVID is the increased use of DocuSign, like across many businesses, I would imagine. So as long as you're confident that you've got the right medical in place, there's nothing to stop, say, if we were looking at a player in another country. It's not necessarily something that we would do, because it's always good to get the player in the building. Obviously we've got all of our resource here and it's a lot easier, but there would be ways that you can do it in terms of scans at a different hospital elsewhere that are then sent across for medical to review. Paperwork can all be done remotely, but generally we always do our signings here. I think we announced 6 in 6 days. Now obviously Phil Neumann came on a pre-contract in January, which was, I think we announced that, so that one was all geared up, ready to go. 1st of July we always sign a lot of players. It's the first day of the new season, so your first professional contracts, your under 18s that are coming out of their scholarships will all sign on the 1st of July. So that is the norm, to be very busy on the 1st of July. And then we followed it through for 6 days with consecutive signings, which was an intense time. If you'd have told me 8.5 years ago that I'd be in this position now, I wouldn't have believed you. When I first came in, Julia Shelton was club secretary. She was very well thought of and highly regarded, and someone that I looked up to and thought, well, I could never do that job. That looks so stressful. It looks so chaotic and so much pressure on you. I guess as time goes on, you find your own path, find your own way. And again, I was very fortunate to work under some really good people at my time here. Yeah, it means a lot to be in the position. You recognise that, just from working at the club as a whole, people would absolutely love to be in this position and know the ins and outs. And you do have to remind yourself of that, especially on the days where it's getting too much, the phone's constantly ringing. It's not a 9 to 5. If anyone comes into this job thinking it's a 9 to 5, you're not going to last very long, because as much as I don't like the saying, football is different. And yeah, you do end up having to basically have your phone with you, and you need very supportive people around you that will understand what the demands of the job are. And without that, you're not going to be able to succeed. But I think that probably goes for most jobs within football.
Love deadline day, and it's incredible to see just how much work goes into every single signing.
So much going on behind the scenes, and with more than 25 players coming and going, it has been one of the busiest transfer periods in Blues history. Of course, all part of the transition from League One back to the Championship. But of course, the ultimate goal is pushing towards the Premier League. So we asked our very own Matt Delaney to put the numbers under the microscope.
Well, the window slammed shut and an orthodox 7 p.m. last Monday night, and while names such as Isaac and Mark Gahey may have dominated the final few hours of the window, Blues have gone about their business very nicely indeed. Chris Davis has certainly airdropped experienced, prolific and efficient talent into a side that were already prepared to compete in the Championship, in a side that has already smashed that League One points record. But what do the new recruits bring when we crunch the data? Let's have a look at the top of the pitch first. Kyogo, Marvin Dutch, Dimmy Gray, Tommy Doyle, Fujimoto, and the deadline day signing Patrick Roberts. Well, Dimmy has already chipped in with 2 assists and countless pre-assists already this season, and Kyogo, of course, off the mark in the League Cup. Blues have added a difference of 29 career goals between those offloaded and the recruits, as well as an average of 6 more final third passes per 90, significantly sharpening our attacking edge. The incoming trio of Dux, Kyogo and Gray bring a clear upgrade in attacking productivity, as well as, according to the stats, contributing 60% more goal or assist creations in the 90 minutes than the outgoing players on the forward line. The upgrades in both personnel and productivity point to a more dangerous, fluid and clinical attacking unit. Then when we turn our attention to the other end of the pitch, the defence, the improvements are also significant. Robinson, Cashin and Neumann for Bielik and Davis, who depart, and Asai Samuels in that mix as well. Christoph Klar, of course, a stalwart linchpin, of course, in the back line. We know his attributes, but what do the new recruits bring according to the stats? That you can't argue that Blues lost a really capable centre-back in Ben Davis in the summer who would have fit in nicely in the Championship. But while Davis was all about positioning, anticipation and playing as an anchor and clearing everything that came near him, Phil Neumann is much more of an athlete. His recovery runs, wide cover and ball play, and with a top speed of 21.47 miles an hour recorded in the Bundesliga last season, at full tilt, the German would be breaking the speed limit in the bullring area. And you look at Jack Robinson as well. Not only has he played in the Premier League and would have crossed paths with Chris Davis at Liverpool at some point, I'm sure, but he's played in a Sheffield United side who are constantly challenging at the top of the Championship. And as for Cashin, Derby's 2023-24 Player of the Year, he brings with him a real youthful aggression. So overall, what does that say about the Blues transfer window? Well, the Blues overhaul combines output with real Championship now, adding proven goal scorers, sharper final third play and players with a defensive intelligence. I think this summer Blues recruitment team have quietly but effectively gone about their work to improve all aspects of the squad. Little drama, but real proven pedigree.
Sharp analysis from the booth. As always, we wouldn't expect anything less
Absolutely.
from the legend that is Matt Delaney. But the numbers only tell part of the story, of course. The transfer window is also about perception, pressure and the narrative around Blues in the wider Championship as well.
Exactly. And that's where the journalists come in. So to get that perspective, our very own Will Brazier spoke to Ben Bloom for his take on how Birmingham City's business is being seen from the outside.
Benjamin Bloom, thank you for joining me. EFL expert, Ipswich sympathiser. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Better than the last time I saw you. Was that we were together in the tunnel in the bowels of St Andrews, and I walked past you about 2 minutes after that penalty at the end of the game was given, and not many words were spoken, but the looks between us said all that needed to be said.
You did very well. I'm not very good sitting in the press box as a fan, so I think you composed yourself very good for a last-minute penalty. We're here to talk about Blues transfers, how the Championship's shaping up. Let's start with the Blues transfer window. How do you think we did overall?
Fantastically, yeah. And I mean, it was the big story of this transfer window. I mean, there was a few things that made it a bit different than normal. And I've got to say the power of all three of the League One teams really going for it from last season has been a huge disruption. Obviously, on the front end, we had the weird thing with the World Club Cup, didn't we, where which actually affected Ipswich because Liam Delap was sold. And then everything seemed to get very delayed towards the end of the window, which hasn't helped out, certainly, the parachute teams, Ipswich, Leicester, Southampton, Sheffield United. Probably has helped out the likes of Birmingham, Wrexham, etc., who were coming with a clean slate. And then we've also seen Hayden Hackney, Josh Sargent stay at their clubs. So it's been a really, really interesting window. And I know I'm on a Birmingham platform here, but really the big story, particularly for that vast middle chunk of the window, was Birmingham and their aggressive, ruthless, take no prisoners approach to the transfer window, which has made it fascinating.
So that first chunk of signings that we did, it was 6 in 6 days. It just felt like an absolute dreamland turn of events for us. Which one of those sort of signings really stood out for you, from the Damari Gray to the Phil Newman?
Doyle was the one that kind of stood out early, but when you actually look at what's happened, Koyogo's been a really good presence in the games so far. And I must admit, just even in that first game, looking at the two centre halves, you're kind of thinking, okay, two big physical lads who can play, who look ready to go, integrated straight into this style. I think as well, Will, I didn't realise it was 6 in 6 days. You're more across it than I am. But that message to the rest of English football as well was a big one, wasn't it? I'd spoken to some Birmingham press, and you always hear oh, we're not messing about. And I'm like, okay, yeah, come on then. Let's see what you got. And it was bang, 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 bang.
With everything you've seen from this opening chunk of the season, the transfer window closed, has it altered your sort of predictions maybe pre the season of Birmingham, or have they stayed the same?
No, because I was getting comments from your fans all through the summer, you know, kind of hyping me up. And there was a certain extent, Will, where I was like, oh, am I being a bit naive here? Have I been, you know, sold this bill by all these Blues fans telling me, oh, Ben, you got to watch out for this, that, and the other. And I was almost quite pleased when I actually sat down and the football started, and you're like, okay, no, they're a good side. They're going to do well. Be very, very interesting to see whether the actual leveraging of the transfer market is complete for the season from Birmingham. And from everything we understand, it's probably not.
Brilliant. Well, good luck for the rest of the season, Ben. I'm sure I'll see you down at Portman Road for the reverse fixture. And hopefully it's a good game like last time.
Yeah, a little bit less controversy, please, this time. Be nice.
A predictably unique take there from Will and Ben, but now we're joined in the studio by the players themselves, the ones who have been there and seen it all and experienced their very own share of deadline day dramas. Tommy Mooney, and for the very first time on Blue Rising, Harlee Dean. Gentlemen, welcome.
How are we?
Very excited to ask you about transfer day sagas. Have you got any that come even close to the legendary Peter Odemwingie turning up at QPR?
It's tough to beat that
for
one.
no reason at all?
I don't think anything beats that one.
What's it like as a player, Harlee, when you're approaching deadline day? Maybe there's conversations around where your future may be, but is it out of your control? So what conversations do you have?
I mean, I've only ever been wanted once on the transfer deadline day, so it's hard for me to comment. But obviously, when I signed here at Blues, I come up and met Harry Redknapp. Bit of a story as well within it. He turned around and said to me, "Oh, is there anyone else from Brentford that we should have?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, right back, Maxime Collin and Jota, probably the three best players at the time at the club." And within 24 hours, we was all there. It's nerve-wracking. I was obviously young then. I didn't have children, so there's no responsibilities or anything that you've got to upheave. But as you get older and kids and schools and stuff like that, I imagine the decision becomes a lot harder.
I think that's the hardest part for a footballer is when it comes to the end of a window. In the summer, you know you're going to move, don't you? You've got a little bit more time to get your head around it, go to the estate agents. You know what's happening most of the time. But right at the end of a transfer window, it might happen, it might not. It's a toss of a coin half the time. So it certainly makes it harder.
You'll see a player that's about to sign somewhere, they'll get a last-minute phone call, "I'll come here." They might have done their due diligence on that club, and then they're going to a different part of the country, and it just happens like that. So
that's what I was going to ask. 'Cause from a player's point of view, are there any things that we as fans wouldn't necessarily consider when it comes to being either asked to move somewhere or wanting to go somewhere?
Well, I think predominantly people think that it's about the money and the length of contracts and stuff, but there's so many other factors that players, families have to think about. If you've got a partner, are you taking her out of her environment? Is she going to know anyone there? What are the women like already at the club you're going to? As I said, if you've got children, you've got to find schools.
Tommy, you've seen it as a father as well. How much has that changed your perspective?
Yeah, I think, again, like H says, those are those things that you have to think about as, you know, as a dad or as a player and a partner. You have to think about those things. And it's all about the environment. When you get to the end of the career like I am, not H just yet, but, you know, that's when you look back and you think, you know, that could have been different. That was the right decision. That was the wrong decision. But it's the decision that you make at that time. You think it's the right decision, so you have to go with it.
Are there any transfers or nearly transfers that you gents were a part of that were close to happening that may surprise us that didn't quite happen?
When I left Southampton, again, I was a free agent. I ended up meeting quite a few teams, Brentford, Preston. Preston's probably the story that I want to tell because Graham Wesley was in charge. And weren't too dissimilar for how we're sitting now, but I had two agents at the time. And one he put the chairs not close, we probably had 5 yards between us. And he sat at this big desk there and he had this flip chart and it was like, we do this gym, training here, gym, like we're leaving at like 7 o'clock. And I was just playing along like, oh yeah, it sounds great, thinking, no, this is not for me whatsoever. And he went, stand up. So I stood up and he went, take your T-shirt off. I was thinking, what? So I was like, all right. So I took my t-shirt off and he went, don't worry, son, we'll sort that out. And then from there, my agent come and got me. We walked out and I went, let's leave as quick as possible.
Yeah, I bet. Can you tell us a little bit about player integration when the new signings are made as well? Were there any rituals that players had to go through to help integrate them?
I was either a captain or one of the leaders in the dressing room, so it was always important to be there for the new people, new players that come in, their families if they needed help with anything. Sort of the stuff that I've mentioned before about coming from a different country or stuff like that.
When I signed for Walsall at the end of my career, I finished playing in England for Walsall. I'd never seen it before. The initiation was at the local swimming baths. You had to dive off the top board. Oh. Now, bearing in mind, I'm not good with heights. But when you look off the top board, you see the bottom of the pool, don't you? You don't see the water, and it looks twice as high. But as a new player going in, I just ran off and screamed all of the way down. But some of the players, it was too much for them. Yeah. It's like every day you're learning about the players. You're learning something new. If they're not bold enough to jump off a high board, are they bold enough to deal with a crowd on a Tuesday night away at Stoke or somewhere like that? You know, that's the old
And that's not just
adage.
the managers that will be looking at them, things like the lads will test that sort of stuff. So I remember certain times like we'd gone out and we'd done like initiation songs within a restaurant, within a private room when I was at Birmingham specifically. And there'd be lads that said no. And automatically you can get the feeling that the dressing room's like, don't know if he's one of us. So you're sort of cutting your knees off before you even start.
What was your song?
I've done a couple, probably my greatest one. And
My greatest hit.
Yeah.
well, yeah, my greatest initiation was when I went on loan from here to Sheffield Wednesday, and Darren Moore was the manager, and we was having food, and I planned it like Barry Bannon was like, "You've got to sing." I was like, I was pretending I was really nervous and like, I don't like it whatsoever. So I said, "All right, I've got to go to the toilet because I feel sick." But I had a bag on me, and in it I had one of my partner's dresses. I bought a size 11 pair of stilettos, fishnet stockings, and a wig. And I come into Shania Twain, Man, I Feel Like a Woman. And all I ever remember from it is Big Darren Moore sitting in the back going like this. And I was thinking, oh no. But yeah, that was probably the best one I did.
That is, you went above and beyond for that.
Because it had gone a bit stale, if I'm honest.
Right.
Like, people get up, sing something off their phone, no one's looking up. And
no performances.
Yeah, that's it. So I'm not bothered about them sort of things. So I give it a go, and I think it was quite memorable, yeah.
So great insight into your own deadline day.
Scary insight.
Yeah. Your own deadline day deals. Tommy, obviously an incredibly busy window for Blues, as we expected coming into this season. What have you made of it all? I
think extremely good recruitment. Again, it helps when you're on the back of a promotion. Players are all of a sudden attracted to Birmingham City like they were many, many years ago. And I think the two signings on deadline day, excellent experience, excellent players, definitely going to develop the team, not just the squad. So yeah, successful window again for me.
Well, great to hear those stories from players who have lived through the highs and admittedly the lows of transfer deadline day. And while, of course, the transfer window is about who comes in, at Birmingham City, it's just as much about who we bring through as well. It's not just about signings, it's about developing our own.
Absolutely. So we headed down to KPC to catch up with Liam Parks, one of the women's team coaches, to hear how he's helping to shape the next chapter of Blues talent. Liam, great to meet you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and about the role that you have at Birmingham City.
I've worked at Birmingham City on and off for nearly 12 years now.
Wow.
Started many years ago working with the girls under 10s. Worked with every age group, bar the first team now. So now my job is to oversee the 16s and 21s, which is the PGA. Professional development phase lead. And making sure that any young players that come into contact with the club have a wonderful experience. They love it here, whether that's a player that's been with us for many years, whether that's a player that's coming on trial. It's about creating the environment and the culture for them, and just letting them experience how good Birmingham City is.
How do you balance the fact that obviously these young people are coming up through the ranks of a football club, but also trying to balance education as well? How do you balance all of that, and also sort of social and personal responsibility as well?
One thing that I think we do really well as a club is we put the person first. There's girls in our under 21s, for example, that go to different education providers.
Right.
They might not be able to make all the training sessions. That's fine.
Right.
that's fine. What this individual needs is, you need your education.
Yeah.
We need to support you with your education. We will provide you with away from the pitch fitness things to do if you can't make training session. We have a head of education, we have 2 player care officers, as well as sports psychologists, clinical psychologists that we have access to,
Wow.
the club doctor we have access to. So we're really building an environment and a platform with all the support that we can put the person first and give them what they need.
Liam, you said you've been here for 12 years. Now, there's been some genuine world beaters come through Birmingham City in that time. Jude and Joe Bellingham, for example.
Yeah, Hannah Hampton.
Hannah Hampton, exactly.
Yeah.
How have you seen the club change in that time?
12 years ago, the women's section of the club was in a very different place.
Right.
Since the new owners have come in, they've really brought it all under one umbrella.
Right.
There is a one club feeling. You know, the first team and the 21s and the 16s now share the same site as the boys, so there is that closer interaction. You know, we've done joint CPDs with the boys staff and things like that, which again is what it's all about. It's about learning from each other and helping each other. You know, credit the environment, the under 18s and 21s boys that are here during the day, alongside our under 21s girls. Absolutely brilliant in the way they carry themselves and handle themselves, as are our under 21s. They have a really good working relationship.
Liam, with all of the sort of responsibilities that you have to balance, all of those plates that you've got to spin, how do you ultimately measure success?
I think first and foremost, the most important thing is getting players into our first team, developing a successful pathway. I think then there's the success of the individual and everyone that comes into contact with Birmingham City. That if they're with us for a period of time, that they've had a great experience and leave a better person, a better footballer. Yeah. Look, we want to try and win things and be competitive.
Yeah.
Last year we won the under 21s PGA Trophy.
I bet if you could, you would bottle that winning trophy lifting feeling and say, here you go, have some of this, drink this. That is exactly what it feels like. That's where all of your hard work, dedication and discipline gets you.
Yeah, exactly that. And the players in particular last year, there was such a togetherness about them. They bought into the club's standards and values, and the effort and hard work that they put in, that was their reward. And it was really nice to see them have that moment to celebrate their success and the hard work they'd put in. Again, from a coaching perspective, it's all about the players and the feeling that we got seeing them so happy and achieve what they wanted. That was the feeling for us, yeah.
Plenty of insight there on how the future playing squad is shaping up, and it looks like some of that hard work is already paying off on the pitch.
Well, I think that might be an understatement, Rich. The Blues women kicked off their 25-26 WSL 2 campaign in style, an emphatic 5-1 home victory over Bristol City. Let's take a look at the best of the action.
Holloway. Sarri. Holloway into the middle. And the goal is taken in. A clever finish, and Birmingham City have an early advantage. Amy Merrick's side strike first. A perfect start to a new season. Sarri. And now Holloway. And the ball into the middle. And it's attacked again by McGill, and she's got a second. Well, Bristol City did not learn their lesson. McGill at the near post with another finish. Lee. And Crossway. Big chance. It's 3. Well, just as they did in the first half, Birmingham City make a lightning start in the second. And it's a debut goal for Lily Crossway. McKenna. Crossway. Crossway. Harrison Murray. Brilliant! That is a super strike as Birmingham make it 4. Amy Merrick says that Christy Harrison Murray set standards in this Birmingham City lineup. Well, there is a standard set. Here's Louis, big chance, and a debut goal. She shrugged off Ingle and opens her account within 6 minutes of being introduced. Welcome to WSL2 Bachiba Louis, the first of what may well be many.
Well, what a result. Great to see those highlights
Unreal.
back. Incredible. It's one of those ones where I was working at different games, saw the result pop up on my phone, and it just sets such a statement against another club who have been in the conversation very early on with all the predictions this season that they will be up there competing 5-1.
What a message to be sent.
What a statement to the rest of the league. And to put that result into a little bit more perspective, I caught up with Guardian journalist Tom Garry and pundit Sam Miller for their take on what's to come this season for Blues women. So another big transfer window this summer for Blues women. Plenty of outgoings, lots of new arrivals. Tom Garry, what do you make of the business done by the Blues this window?
You see the impact that some of the new signings had already on day one. Debut goal for Louis, the Haiti striker. I'm so excited to see what she can bring to WSL2. She's scored more than a goal per game for her country and arrives with a real life goal. We saw her good finish against Bristol City. The arrival of Ji So-yeon is one of the signings of the summer anywhere. We're talking about a player who has won the WSL 6 times with Chelsea, won the Women's FA Cup 4 times, the League Cup 3 times. And I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that she was, for a long period of time, the WSL's greatest foreign import. And she came into the league. I've only mentioned a couple of players there, but we could talk about 7 or 8 great signings the club have made. And I think there's a lot of reason for fans to be excited about the business that's been done.
And I'm going to echo what Tom has just said. I think Ji So-yeon is one of the most exciting signings you can bring. I think she's magic on the ball. She's just a specialist in so many different areas on the pitch. Birmingham can just look to get the ball to her and she will produce so many moments for them. And we've also got the likes of Sari. And I think what she does really well is take players on. Class to watch. And between the two of those, there's going to be lots of goals.
Just picking up on Ji So-yeon once again, Sam, in a dressing room, how much impact does it have to have a player who has that stacked trophy cabinet like she does?
There's no better person to look to. She's done it on the international stage and she's performed in the WSL. And I think she's just really good at linking up the play. So she'll be an option for lots of players on the pitch and I can't wait to see how it goes.
But one of the key things this window as well has been bringing in youth, which is building on one of the key aspects in the transfer window in January, of course, for Blues and last summer as well. How important is it to have the youth and that experience when you're competing in the WSL too?
What's interesting is that quite a lot of Blues' rivals in the WSL2 this season have prioritised like experience and primarily signed players in their 30s. Blues have done that as well, but Blues have also brought in some players in their prime years. We're thinking about a player such as like Shannon Cook, for example, returning after her loan spell, arguably the best defender in the league last season. And Sam mentioned Vietniki Sari, of course, popular with fans, coming back now again after her time at Everton. She's really, in her prime years now, I think, and that's going to be so important for the club.
I think a player I'd like to mention is Simone McGill. I think she comes with a wealth of experience. And I think Simone is just such a talented goal scorer. And she really will help the youth coming through as well. I think there's a really nice mix of experience and youth now in this team. And I think you do need the perfect blend in order to go up and try and get that promotion.
Tom, looking at, you mentioned it just briefly there, but looking at the rest of the WSL too, how does Blues window compare to some of the other teams in the league?
We're expecting quite a competitive year and particularly in light of the fact there's that extra promotion place. I think that gave a lot of clubs an incentive to invest this summer. This was seen by many of the teams as the window to really give it a go, because from next year, it'll revert to, 1 automatic spot plus the playoff. Whereas this year with 2 automatic spots and a playoff, there is a great chance for teams if they can make this year their year.
Absolutely. Sam, just on that, do you think it's changed how WSL2 clubs operate this window? We're seeing so much more money spent. From your perspective, is that down to the fact that there is that added incentive of a third potential promotion spot?
You can definitely see by the transfer windows that the teams have had that each team is going for it. And teams will look at the likes of London City Lionesses and how they did it, and will try and emulate that.
How important was that big win on the first day? A real statement against what everyone has tipped as one of Birmingham's promotion rivals this season.
Priceless, Ellen, because it was such a strong start that will give the team confidence. As you allude to, Bristol City are a team that I would still expect to finish in the top 4 or 5. I think it'd be important not to get too carried away. We've got to stress how much depth there is in teams that we're capable of challenging this year. So it's worth reiterating just how wide open the league could be. And so a fast start is really important, and with hard fixtures to come.
And I think that what the Blues have done well is set the standard from game one. Other teams will be looking at them and thinking, wow, they can score that many goals against a quality team like Bristol City. I think to score so many goals in week 1 is amazing to see.
Tom, Sam, thank you so much. As always, your insight so helpful, and I'm sure we'll hear from you throughout the season as Blues push for promotion. Incredible, what a start to the season. But now all eyes turn back to the Championship. And next up, it's always a tough day out, Stoke away.
Yeah, big test after the international break, and of course plenty to discuss after the Leicester clash as well. How do you see Birmingham bouncing back after that disappointing defeat, Tommy?
I think sometimes an international break can get in the way of a good run of form. We don't have that because we had a couple of disappointing performances. I think park that week pre-international break and look forward to the start of it and trying to get back into it. Really difficult game. Stoke have had a really good start to the season, but that's probably one of the easiest places to go if you've not had a good spell and then you've had a little break.
Harlee, is there a bit of a tug of war where, of course, you want to be playing with the best players in the world who are being selected for the national teams, but of course, particularly with now, it seems the first international break of the season coming so early on after only 3 games, is there a bit of disruption? You know, like I say, you want to be playing with the best, but also you want to be forming those foundations.
Yeah, I mean, I think the clubs everyone knows that the international break's coming, so they're prepared for it. I actually think it'll probably work in Blues' favour, to be honest, because a couple of bad performances, 2 losses, have a little break, get away from each other for a little while, and then just start back again, and we can go, right, we're going to hit the ground running and see where we can go this time.
Stoke have had could be said, a surprisingly good start to the season so far. How do you see their start to the season impacting Chris Davis and his tactics and his lineup?
I think he's got his principles and his style of play, and it doesn't really matter who he plays against. It's about Birmingham, which I think is something that we haven't had for a long time as a club. So, yeah, he'll obviously have his bits and pieces that he'll be worried about Stoke. As you said, they've started well, but I think watching them, he's really focused on Blues and implementing how he wants them to play, and that's how they get results.
Tommy, one of the things that's been said about Stoke, when you look at the business they've done, they've really bolstered the back line. The defence looks strong, of course, in goal as well. They have a real strong point and focal point. With Blues, a lot of the criticism has been not being able to take the chances. The forwards will really need to be on point at the weekend.
Yeah, but I've always said it. It's you worry about it more if you're not creating chances. And Blues have created chances. It's just down to those individuals that are in the right place at the right time. Can you be composed and put it in the back of the net? After a couple of poor results, then a break, I think it's probably going to be a little bit more comfortable for the players to go and say, well, listen, you've had a great start. Come and break us down and we'll counter-attack you.
Previously playing Stoke away as well, we always take a great following. Like, it feels like it's a home match. And like, the Blues away fans have always been top class. Probably my favourite game I've ever played for Blues, Stoke away. In the last season under Eustace, scored the winner and we won 2-1. And it was one of them days, it was sunshine, pouring rain, sunshine, howl coming in sideways. It was, and my memory of that is the away fans. My dad brought my son's called Harlee as well. And they were singing the Harlee Dean song. He thought it was about him, and my dad turned around and went, they're singing your name. And he was like he was saying that he's always spoke about ever since he was only young.
Right, lovely stuff. Harlee, thank you so much for joining us.
Great debut.
You are welcome back whenever you would like to join us. Tommy, you're always here, so we'll see you next week. You've got no choice. And that's all from us this week on Blue Rising.
Yes, thank you so much for watching.
We will be back next week with more from across the Blues family. Have a great weekend.
Take care.